Ji-won stood in the center of the council chamber and looked at the faces around her. They were not human faces. Some had scales, some had fur, and some looked like they were made of living crystal. They all stared at her with the same expression. They thought she was funny. The chamber was huge, bigger than any building on Earth. It floated in space above a purple planet that Ji-won had never seen before today. Through the clear walls, she could see hundreds of ships moving between the stars. This was the Galactic Council, the group that ruled over thousands of worlds. Ji-won was the first human to stand here. Earth had only been discovered 6 months ago by a council scout ship. The aliens had been surprised to find humans. They thought Earth was empty. They had been wrong. She took a deep breath and spoke clearly. I am Ambassador Ji-won Park of Earth. My people have sent me here with an important message. We ask that all military ships stay at least 5 light years away from our solar system. This is not a request we make lightly. Please respect this boundary. One of the aliens laughed. It sounded like rocks grinding together. This was Commander Hyun, a tall creature covered in thick armor plates. He led the military forces of the Verath Empire, one of the most powerful groups in the council. 5 light years? Hyun said, his voice booming across the chamber. Your planet has no fleet. We have seen your world. You have small stations around your moon. You have tiny ships that barely leave your atmosphere. You have only just discovered how to split atoms. And you dare to tell us where we can go? Other council members made sounds of agreement. Some laughed. Some shook their heads. They had all read the reports about Earth. Humans were primitive. They still used chemical rockets. They still fought wars with each other. They had only sent radio signals into space a few hundred years ago. Ji-won kept her face calm. She had expected this. Commander Hyun, I understand how this looks. But I'm telling you the truth. Any military ship that enters our exclusion zone will be met with defensive measures. We do not want conflict. We are asking you to respect our space. A council member who looked like a floating jellyfish spoke in a singing voice. What defensive measures? We have sensors. We have scanned your system. You have nothing that could threaten even our smallest patrol ship. Please, Ji-won said. Just stay away. That is all we ask. Hyun stood up. He was twice as tall as Ji-won. This is ridiculous. The council does not take orders from primitives. You should be grateful we are even talking to you. Most species at your level of development are simply observed from a distance until they are ready to join civilized space. The head of the council, High Counselor Vren, raised one of his 6 arms. He was old, older than any human had ever lived. His skin was pale blue and covered in patterns that moved slowly across his body. Ambassador Park, Vren said slowly. The council appreciates that Earth has made contact. But you must understand our position. We cannot allow a single primitive world to dictate where council ships may travel. The galaxy is governed by rules. We explore, we map, we ensure that no threats arise. If we make an exception for Earth, every world will demand the same. Ji-won felt her heart beating fast, but she kept her voice steady. High Counselor, I am asking you one more time. Please keep your military ships away from Earth. We have our reasons. What reasons? Hyun demanded. Do you have weapons? Do you have hidden ships? Show us proof or stop wasting our time. Ji-won looked at him directly. I cannot show you proof without violating the very security we are trying to protect. I can only give you my word. Stay away and there will be no problem. Vren looked tired. The council will vote. All those in favor of sending a reconnaissance fleet to properly scan the Earth system, indicate now. Lights appeared around the chamber. Green lights meant yes. Red lights meant no. Ji-won watched as green lights filled the room. Only 3 members voted red. The motion passes, Vren announced. A reconnaissance fleet will be dispatched. They will scan your system and determine if there are any resources or technologies worth our attention. If Earth truly has nothing to hide, then there should be no problem. Ji-won closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, she looked directly at Vren. You are making a mistake. Please reconsider. The vote is final, Vren said. You are dismissed, Ambassador. Ji-won left the chamber. Her hands were shaking. She had failed. She walked down the long corridor to the docking bay where her small ship waited. It was an old council transport that Earth had bought with gold and platinum. Humans did not have their own ships that could travel between stars. At least that was what the council believed. She entered her ship and sat in the pilot's seat. With shaking hands, she activated the communication system. A face appeared on the screen. It was Captain Doyen, stationed at humanity's outermost monitoring post. They refused, Jiwan said quietly. They are sending ships. Doyen looked sad but not surprised. He was older than Jiwan, with gray in his dark hair. How many ships? A reconnaissance fleet. Hyun said 12 vessels. Doyen nodded slowly. When? They are launching now. They will reach the exclusion zone in about 8 hours. Understood, Doyen said. He paused. Jiwan, you did everything you could. We all hoped they would listen. But we prepared for this. Jiwan felt tears in her eyes but did not let them fall. I know, it just seems so wasteful. We gave them every chance. That is the point, Doyen said gently. We gave them every chance. What happens next is their choice, not ours. Jiwan took a deep breath. I will return to Earth, keep me informed. I will, Doyen promised. The screen went dark. Jiwan started her ship and began the long journey home. Below her, the council was already preparing their fleet. She could see the ships gathering, 12 vessels each larger than anything Earth had supposedly built. Far away at the edge of human space, Doyen watched the council fleet approaching on his sensors. They were moving fast, confident, sure of their superiority. He opened a communication channel, one that the council would detect and receive. Council Reconnaissance Fleet, this is Captain Doyen Kim of the human vessel Quiet Horizon. I am sending you this final warning. You are approaching a restricted zone. Turn back now. We are not what you think we are. I repeat, turn back. You will regret crossing this line. He waited. On his screen, he saw the council fleet's response. It was short and dismissive. Human vessel, stand aside. We have authorization from the Galactic Council. We will complete our mission. Do not interfere. Doyen closed his eyes and whispered, I am sorry. We tried. He watched as the 12 ships crossed the invisible boundary, 5 light-years from Earth's sun. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, one by one, the ships simply disappeared from his sensors. No explosions. No energy signatures. No distress calls. They were just gone. Doyen sat in silence, looking at the empty space where 12 proud warships had been moments before. He knew that somewhere in the council chamber, alarms were starting to sound. They would be confused. They would be frightened, and they would send more ships. He began recording a message to send to Earth's Defense Command. The warning had been ignored. Now everything would change. High Counselor Vren stared at the empty space on the display screen. Where 12 ships had been, there was now nothing. The sensor data made no sense. The ships had not exploded. They had not jumped to hyperspace. They had not been destroyed by any weapon the Council knew. They had simply stopped existing. Replay the last 30 seconds, Vren ordered. The technician, a small creature with 4 eyes, touched the controls. The display showed the 12 ships moving in formation toward Earth's solar system. They crossed an invisible line 5 light-years from the human sun. Then one by one, each ship blinked out of existence. The time between each disappearance was exactly 2.3 seconds. No energy discharge, the technician reported. No gravitational anomalies. No weapons fire detected. The ships just vanished. Commander Hyun slammed his massive fist on the table. This is impossible. 12 warships do not simply disappear. There must be a weapon. There must be something. We detected nothing, the technician said nervously. Our sensors were recording everything. There was no indication of any technology being used. Vren felt old. He had lived for 600 years. He had seen wars and peace treaties. He had watched species rise and fall, but he had never seen anything like this. Contact the humans, he said quietly. Bring their ambassador back. It took 3 hours for Ji-won to return to the council chamber. She had not yet reached Earth when the emergency recall came. Now she stood in front of the council again, but this time no one was laughing. Ambassador Park, Vren said. His voice was heavy. 12 of our ships have disappeared near your solar system. We detected no weapons, no explosions, nothing. They are simply gone. What has happened to them? Ji-won had prepared for this moment, but it still hurt to see the fear in their eyes. High Counselor, I warned you. I asked you to stay away. That is not an answer, Hyun roared. What weapon did you use? Where are our people? A hologram appeared beside Ji-won. It showed a human man in a simple gray uniform. This was Admiral Taejin Cho, humanity's liaison to the Council Military Commission. He looked genuinely sad. High Counselor, members of the Council, Taejin said, the 12 ships that entered our restricted zone have been neutralized. I want to make something very clear. The crews are alive. They are unharmed. They are currently in suspended animation, a safe sleep state. We can return them to you if you agree to respect our boundaries. The council chamber erupted in angry voices. Species in 100 languages shouted and demanded answers. Vren raised all 6 arms for silence. Admiral Cho, Vren said carefully. You are saying you have taken our personnel hostage? No, Tajin said firmly. We defended our territory after giving you clear warning. Your ships entered a restricted military zone. We removed them from active space. This is not hostage-taking. This is defense. How? The question came from the floating jellyfish creature. How did you do this? We saw nothing. No weapons, no technology, nothing. Tajin was quiet for a moment. We cannot reveal our defensive methods. I can only tell you that your people are safe and will remain safe. Respect our boundary and we will return them. Hyun looked like he wanted to attack the hologram itself. This is an act of war. You have attacked council vessels. The penalty for this is severe. A new human appeared in the chamber. This was Minho, a diplomatic officer. He was younger than Jiwon and he looked desperate. Please listen. We do not want war. We never wanted any conflict. This is exactly what we were trying to prevent. By kidnapping our people, Hyun demanded. By asking you to stay away, Minho said, his voice rising. We asked nicely, we begged. We gave you every warning. You chose to ignore us. You chose to send military ships to our home. What did you expect us to do? Just let you do whatever you wanted? Vren studied the young human. Diplomatic Officer Minho, I have a question. Your people have been in space for what? 300 of your years. 400? You are barely able to leave your own planet. How do you have technology that we cannot detect? Technology that can make our ships disappear? Minho looked at Jiwon. She gave him a small nod. He turned back to the council and took a deep breath. High Counselor, we have been in space much longer than you think. There are things about humanity that we have not shared. There are reasons we asked for the exclusion zone. We were trying to make contact slowly, carefully. We were trying to avoid exactly this situation. What do you mean longer than we think? Vren asked. I cannot tell you more, Minho said. Not yet. Not until we know we can trust the council to leave us alone. Hyun stood up. You dare speak of trust? You have our ships. You have our people. And you refuse to even explain how you took them. Because the moment we explain, Minho said quietly, the moment we show you our capabilities, you will either try to take our technology by force, or you will see us as a threat that must be destroyed. We have studied the council. We know how it works. We were trying to avoid this. Studied us? Vren's voice was dangerous now. How long have you been watching the council? Minho closed his eyes. He had said too much. I cannot answer that. The council chamber fell silent. Every member was thinking the same thing. If humans could make ships disappear without any detectable technology, what else could they do? How long had they been watching? What other secrets did they have? Vren made a decision. The council will respond. We will send a battle fleet. If you do not return our personnel immediately and explain your weapons, we will have no choice but to treat Earth as a hostile military threat. Jiwon stepped forward. High Counselor, please. That would be a terrible mistake. We can find a peaceful solution. You have 1 day, Vren said. Return our ships and personnel. Explain your technology, or face the consequences. The hologram of Admiral Tajin shook his head slowly. High Counselor, I beg you to reconsider. Sending more ships will only result in more losses. We do not want to harm anyone, but we will defend ourselves. 1 day, Vren repeated. This meeting is over. Jiwon and Minho were escorted out of the chamber. They stood together in the corridor outside, both looking exhausted. They are going to send a fleet, Minho said quietly. A big one? I know, Jiwon replied. We knew they might. How many ships do you think? Jiwon thought about Commander Hyun's anger, about the fear she had seen in the council members' eyes. Many. They will want to send enough that they think we cannot possibly stop them all. Minho looked out at the stars through the corridor window. What if we just explained? What if we told them the truth about how long we have been traveling through space, about the pocket dimensions, about everything? They would not believe us, Jiwon said. Or worse, they would believe us and immediately try to take the technology or destroy us for having it. No, we have to show them that fighting us is pointless. Only then will they be willing to talk as equals. 20 hours later, a council battle fleet assembled. 47 warships from 6 different species, dreadnoughts that could destroy moons, carriers filled with fighter craft, battleships with weapons that could melt through the crust of a planet. Commander Hyun led the fleet himself. He stood on the bridge of his flagship, a massive vessel called the Vengeance. Around him, his officers prepared for battle. "All ships report ready," one officer announced. Hyun looked at the display showing Earth's small yellow sun far away. That primitive world thinks it can threaten the Council. Today we will show them the price of defiance. All ships jump to Earth system. Battle formation. Weapons ready, the fleet jumped. Space bent around them and they crossed light years in seconds. They appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system, weapons charged and shields at maximum. Hyun waited for the humans to respond. He waited for some sign of their mysterious weapon. His sensors scanned constantly, looking for anything unusual. "Sir," an officer said nervously, "I am detecting something strange. Space itself appears to be, I do not know how to describe it. Folding, bending. Source?" Hyun demanded. "Everywhere, sir. All around us. It is like we are surrounded by something, but I cannot tell what it is." Hyun felt the first touch of real fear. "All ships full alert. Prepare to—" He never finished the sentence. The ship lurched. Everything went dark. When the emergency lights came on, all the displays were dead. The ship was not responding to controls. Through the window, Hyun saw something impossible. The stars were wrong. They were not the stars near Earth. They were not any stars he recognized. It was as if his entire ship had been moved somewhere else. "Get communications working," he shouted. "Contact the fleet." His officers worked frantically at dead controls. Nothing responded. The ship's reactor was still running. Life support still worked. But everything else was simply turned off. Outside the window, Hyun saw a small human ship appear. It was tiny compared to his dreadnought. A message came through on the emergency channel, the only system still working. "Commander Hyun, this is Captain Doyen of the Quiet Horizon. Your fleet is safe. Your crews are unharmed. You are being held in a secure location until the Council agrees to peaceful terms. I am sorry it had to come to this. We tried to warn you." Hyun tried to respond, but before he could speak, he felt a strange sensation wash over him. His eyes grew heavy. Around him, his crew was collapsing into sleep. He fought it, but it was useless. His last thought before darkness took him was that he had made a terrible mistake. The panic spread through the Galactic Council like fire. 47 warships had vanished. Over 15,000 personnel gone without a trace. The Council had existed for 10,000 years, and nothing like this had ever happened. Vren sat alone in his private chamber. He was too old for this. He had guided the Council through wars and disasters, but he had never faced an enemy like this. An enemy that did not destroy, did not kill, but simply made things disappear. It was terrifying in a way that normal warfare was not. A message came through. It was from the Science Division. Director Yoonji Kang of Earth had requested an emergency audience. Vren almost refused, but something made him accept. Maybe the humans would finally explain themselves. Yoonji appeared as a hologram in his chamber. She was a small woman with short dark hair and tired eyes. She looked like someone who had not slept in days. "High Counselor," Yoonji said, bowing her head respectfully. "Thank you for seeing me. I am Science Director Yoonji Kang. I lead Earth's Research Division for the Council Contact Program." "Director Kang," Vren said wearily, "do you know where our ships are?" "Where our people are." "Yes," Yoonji said simply. "They are safe. They are being held in a secure location, far from any habitable system. They are in suspended animation, a deep sleep. They are not being harmed in any way. Why?" Vren asked. "Why do this? Why not just destroy our fleets if you have such power? Why take them?" Yoonji looked sad. "Because we are not monsters, High Counselor. We do not want to kill anyone. We never wanted any of this. We just wanted to be left alone until we were ready for contact. Then why reveal yourselves at all? Why not simply stay hidden?" "Because your scout ship detected radio signals from Earth. They were investigating. We had a choice. We could destroy the scout ship and hope you never found us, or we could make contact and try to negotiate boundaries. We chose to make contact. We chose to trust that the Council would respect a simple request." Vren felt a flash of anger. "You ask us to respect your request, but you refuse to explain anything. You take our ships with invisible technology and expect us to simply accept it. What would you do?" Yoonji asked quietly. "If you had developed something special, Something unique and a much larger military power discovered you. Would you immediately show them all your secrets? Or would you try to establish trust first? Vren had no answer. She was right and he knew it. High Counselor, Yunji continued. Let me tell you some things. Not everything, but enough. Humanity evolved alone. We had no contact with other species until your scout ship arrived. We developed differently than you did. We took different paths. We made different discoveries. What kind of discoveries? We cannot give you technical details, but I can tell you this. We learned to manipulate gravity in ways that the Council has not discovered. We learned to fold space to create pockets of altered time. We learned to move through dimensions that your sensors cannot detect. Vren leaned forward. How long? How long have you had this technology? Yunji was quiet for a long moment. Longer than you would believe. Long enough to travel to many stars. Long enough to watch the Council from a distance. You have been spying on us. We have been observing, Yunji corrected. Learning. Trying to understand what kind of neighbors you would be. We saw your wars. We saw your peace treaties. We saw how you treat species that are weaker than you. It is why we were so careful about making contact. Vren felt cold. How long have you been watching us? I cannot tell you that. Not yet. The High Counselor stood up and walked to his window. Below he could see the Council station, with ships from 100 worlds docked or flying past. All of this power, all of this technology, and they had been watched by primitive humans. No, not primitive. That had been a lie. Or a disguise. What do you want? Vren asked. We want to return your people, Yunji said. We want peace. We want the Council to respect our boundary and give us time to integrate into galactic society at our own pace. We are not a threat to anyone who does not threaten us. The Council will not accept this, Vren said. You have humiliated us. You have shown that our most powerful fleets are helpless against you. There are many members who will demand war, total war, until Earth is destroyed. That would be genocide, Yunji said quietly. Over 12 billion people live on Earth. Billions more in our outer colonies. Vren turned sharply. Outer colonies? You have colonies. Yunji closed her eyes. She had revealed too much again. Yes, we have settled other worlds in our solar system and beyond. We have had space travel for a very long time, High Counselor. Before Vren could ask more questions, alarms began sounding throughout the station. His communication console lit up with emergency signals. He opened the priority channel. High Counselor. It was the military command center. The Vareth Empire has launched a grand armada. Over 200 ships. They are heading to Earth. Commander Hyun's second-in-command is leading them. Vren felt his heart sink. No, stop them. Order them to stand down. Sir, the Vareth Empire is claiming independent military action. They say their commander was taken by an act of war. They are not following Council authority on this. Vren looked at Yunji's hologram. Her face had gone pale. Director Kang, you must tell me, can your people stop 200 warships? Because if they cannot, this will turn into a war that will destroy your entire species. Yunji took a shaking breath. High Counselor, I need to speak with Earth's Defense Coordination. Please give me 10 minutes. You have 5, Vren said. The hologram disappeared. Vren sat down heavily. 200 ships. Dreadnoughts, carriers, battleships, destroyers. It was enough firepower to destroy a dozen planets, and they were heading straight for Earth. 5 minutes later, Yunji's hologram returned. With her was another human, a woman in a military uniform. This was Captain Gina Bay of Earth's Defense Coordination. High Counselor Vren, Gina said. Her voice was calm but firm. I am speaking for Earth's defense forces. We are aware of the approaching armada. We have tried to contact them. They refuse to respond to our warnings. Can you stop them? Vren asked directly. Gina looked tired. Yes, we can stop them. But High Counselor, you need to understand something. We have been very restrained. We have taken your ships carefully, one at a time to minimize the shock to the crews. We have been gentle. But 200 ships arriving at once with weapons hot and shields raised, ready for war. We may not be able to be as gentle. What does that mean? It means there is a risk that some of the crews may be harmed during the process. We will do our best to protect everyone. But with that many ships all arriving together, all in battle formation, it will be chaotic, Vren understood. The humans were telling him that people might die. Can you not simply let them arrive and then speak to them? Negotiate? Gina shook her head. They are coming with weapons armed and orders to glass our planet. We have families on Earth, children. Billions of innocent people. We cannot take the risk that they will fire before listening. We have to neutralize them the moment they enter our space. Please, Yunji added. Please tell the Vareth Empire to turn back. Tell them this is not worth it. We will return Commander Hyun. We will return all the crews. We just need them to stop sending more ships, Vren tried. He opened every communication channel he had. He sent priority messages to the Vareth Empire's leaders. But they were not listening. They were angry and humiliated, and they wanted revenge. 3 hours later, Captain Gina appeared again. She looked like she had been crying. High Counselor, she said quietly. The Armada has entered our exclusion zone. We sent them one final warning. They responded by targeting our outer stations with their weapons. We have no choice. We are engaging defensive measures now. How long? Vren asked. 15 minutes. Maybe less. We are bringing in every ship we have, every system. 200 vessels at once. It is difficult, but we will do it. Vren watched on his long-range sensors as the Varath Armada approached Earth. They came in perfect formation, a show of overwhelming force. They truly believed that numbers would matter, that surely the humans could not stop so many ships at once. The sensors showed the Armada crossing the exclusion zone. For a moment, nothing happened. Then space itself seemed to shudder. The sensors went wild with readings they could not interpret. Reality appeared to fold and bend around the fleet. One by one, then in groups, the ships began to disappear. But this time it was not smooth. Some ships flickered in and out of existence several times before vanishing. Some seemed to be pulled apart and reassembled. The emergency channels filled with confused shouts and screams from the crews. Then all at once, every single ship was gone. 200 vessels, the largest battle fleet assembled in Council history, simply erased from space. The sensor display showed only empty space and a small yellow sun in the distance. Vren sat in silence. Beside him, Yunji's hologram was crying. I am sorry, she whispered. We tried to make it gentle. But with so many ships, some of the crews may have been injured during the transition. We will care for them. We will heal them. But I am so sorry it came to this. Vren looked at her. Director Kang, I need you to tell me the truth. How powerful is humanity? How many ships do you have? What are we actually dealing with? Yunji wiped her eyes. High Counselor, we have been traveling through dimensions you do not know. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was the largest in history. Every member world sent representatives. The chamber was so crowded that many had to attend by hologram. The mood was dark and fearful. Vren stood at the center and waited for silence. It took a long time. Finally, the voices quieted and thousands of eyes turned to him. Members of the Council, Vren began, we face a crisis unlike any in our history. Earth, a world we believe to be primitive, has demonstrated technology far beyond our understanding. 3 fleets, over 250 ships have been taken without a single shot fired. Thousands of our people are missing. They are hostages. Someone shouted, No, Vren said firmly. Ambassador Ji-won Park has requested an emergency session. She brings proof of what has happened to our people. I ask that you listen before making judgments. Ji-won walked into the center of the chamber. She looked small and alone among so many aliens, but she held her head high. Behind her, a massive display screen activated. Members of the Council, Ji-won said clearly, I am going to show you something that has never been seen by non-humans before. I am going to show you where your fleets are. The screen showed a vast space station floating in darkness. It was built in a style the Council had never seen, all smooth curves and strange angles. Around it drifted hundreds of ships, Council ships. They were intact, undamaged but clearly powered down. The view zoomed in to show the interior of one ship. The crew was there, all of them, floating in chambers filled with blue light. They looked peaceful, like they were sleeping. This is one of our deep space facilities, Ji-won explained. It is located in what you call the Oort cloud far from Earth's sun. Your ships are here. Your people are here. They are in suspended animation, a safe sleep state. We have medical teams monitoring them constantly. She touched a control and the view changed. It showed medical readouts, vital signs, brain activity. Everything was normal, healthy, stable. Some of the crews from the last battle fleet were injured during the transition. Ji-won continued. Space folding is difficult with so many large objects at once. We have treated all injuries. In fact, our medical teams found several of your personnel who had serious illnesses. Cancer, organ failure, genetic disorders. We have cured them. They will wake up healthier than they were before. Murmurs ran through the chamber. Jiwon waited for them to quiet. But you want to know how, Jiwon said. How we did this. How we took your ships without firing a weapon. How we moved them across impossible distances. She took a deep breath. The Council has explored the galaxy using hyperspace. You discovered how to fold space to travel faster than light. You built gates and lanes that connect your worlds. It is impressive technology. But humanity found a different path. We discovered how to manipulate gravity at the quantum level. We learned to create bubbles of altered spacetime. Inside these bubbles, the laws of physics are different. Time flows differently. Space connects differently. A scientist in the audience, a creature made of living crystal, spoke up. That is theoretically possible. But it would require energy levels we cannot generate. How do you power such technology? Jiwon smiled slightly. We do not power it. We borrow it. Gravity is everywhere. It connects everything in the universe. We simply learn to redirect it, to focus it, to shape it. The universe itself provides the energy. Another voice called out. How long have you had this technology? Jiwon looked directly at Vren. Dr. Sunho Im, our chief physicist, is here to answer that question. A hologram appeared beside Jiwon. Dr. Sunho was an older man with white hair and kind eyes. He looked like someone's grandfather. Members of the council, Sunho said gently, I have studied our technology for 50 years. But I did not invent it. My teachers did not invent it. Their teachers did not invent it. The first humans to fold space lived 3,000 years ago. The chamber erupted in shocked voices. Sunho waited patiently for silence. While the council was building its first hyperspace gates, Sunho continued. Humanity was already traveling between the stars. We moved differently than you. We did not need gates or lanes. We could create doorways anywhere, anytime. We could step from Earth to the other side of the galaxy in an instant. And we watched you. We listened to your broadcasts. We studied your languages. We observed your wars and your peace treaties. We saw how you treated species weaker than yourselves, sometimes with kindness, sometimes with conquest. We decided to wait, to stay hidden, to watch and learn. A council member, the one who looked like a floating jellyfish, spoke in their singing voice. You spied on us for 3,000 years? We observed, Sunho corrected gently, just as you observe developing species. The council has rules about contacting primitive worlds. You watch them from a distance until they reach a certain level of technology. We did the same with you. We watched until we understood you. And what did you conclude? Vren asked. Sunho looked sad. That you are not so different from us. You have good people and bad people. You can be kind or cruel. You seek peace but prepare for war. You fear what you do not understand. Just like humans. Commander Hyun's replacement, a Vareth warrior named Kirin, stood up. She was even larger than Hyun, covered in battle scars. You speak of watching and learning, but you have taken our warriors. You have stolen our ships. This is an act of war. No, Jiwon said firmly. This is defense. You were warned. Multiple times. You chose to ignore those warnings. You chose to send military fleets to our home. What did you expect us to do? Welcome you with open arms while you pointed weapons at our planet? You could have shown us your power before. Kirin shouted. You could have demonstrated your technology peacefully. And then what? Jiwon asked. The moment we showed you what we could do, you would have either tried to take it by force or decided we were too dangerous to exist. We know how this works. We have watched the council for 3,000 years. We have seen it happen to other species. The chamber fell silent. They knew she was right. Vren stepped forward. Ambassador Park, Dr. Im. We understand that you have powerful technology. We understand that you have been watching us. But you must understand our position. The council has existed for 10,000 years. We have rules. We have order. We cannot simply allow one species to ignore all authority and dictate terms. Why not? Jiwon asked quietly. You do it to younger species all the time. You tell them where they can go, what they can study, how they must behave. You enforce these rules with overwhelming military force. Why is it acceptable when you do it, but not when we defend ourselves? Because we maintain order, Vren said, his voice rising. Without the council, there would be chaos. Wars between every species. The strong would crush the weak. Like you tried to crush us? Jiwon asked. Vren had no answer. Sunho spoke again, his voice kind but firm. High Counselor, members of the Council, we are not your enemies. We never wanted to be your enemies. We simply wanted to make contact on our own terms. We wanted time to integrate slowly, to build trust, to become partners rather than subjects. But you took that choice away from us, Sun Ho continued. You discovered Earth before we were ready, so we did the best we could. We asked for a simple boundary. 5 light years, that is all. Such a small thing, but you could not accept it. You could not accept that someone might say no to the Council. Kiran stood again. You speak of boundaries and choices, but you will not even return our people. You hold them hostage and demand that we accept your terms. We will return them, Jiwan said. Today, right now. We brought them here. The display screen changed. It showed the space outside the Council station. Hundreds of ships were appearing, materializing out of nowhere. Council ships. The missing fleets. They powered up, their crews waking from suspended animation. Throughout the Council chamber, communication devices began alerting. Officers were receiving reports. The ships were back. The crews were confused but unharmed. Some were reporting that they felt better than before, that old injuries had healed. We could have kept them, Jiwan said quietly. We could have kept your ships and your people. We could have demanded anything we wanted. But we did not. We are returning them freely, as a gesture of good faith. She turned to face the entire Council. But you need to understand something. We have mapped every system in Council space. We know the location of every world, every station, every fleet. We could reach any of them at any time. We could take any ship, any installation whenever we choose. This is a threat, Kiran shouted. No, Jiwan said firmly. It is a fact. We could have done these things for 3,000 years. We never did. We could have conquered the Council before it even became the Council. We never did. We chose to watch, to wait, to hope that you would be good neighbors. But if you threaten our home, if you threaten our people, we will defend ourselves. And you have seen what our defense looks like. No battles. No destruction. We simply remove the threat cleanly, completely. Sun Ho added, we are not monsters. We do not wish to rule anyone. We do not wish to harm anyone. We just want to be left alone until we are ready to join you as equals. Is that really so much to ask? Vren looked around the chamber. He saw fear in many faces, but he also saw something else. Respect. Understanding. The Council had tried to force Earth to submit, and Earth had shown them. The vote took 3 weeks. 3 long weeks where the galaxy held its breath and waited. The returned crews told their stories. They spoke of waking up in strange facilities, of human doctors caring for them, of injuries and illnesses cured. Some spoke with anger about being taken, but more spoke with confusion and even gratitude. They had been treated well. Better than well. They had been treated like guests, not prisoners. Commander Hyun himself appeared before the Council. His massive frame seemed smaller somehow, less threatening. He spoke quietly about waking up in a human medical bay, about the young human doctor named Mirai who had explained everything to him while his translator worked. They could have killed us all, Hyun said. They could have destroyed every ship. They had 3,000 years to prepare for contact. They knew our weaknesses, our tactics, everything, but they chose to capture rather than kill, to heal rather than harm. I do not understand them, but I no longer believe they are our enemies, Kiran challenged him. They humiliated you. They humiliated all of us, and you speak in their defense? Hyun looked at her steadily. They taught me humility. There is a difference. I came with weapons ready to destroy their world. They took my ship like a parent taking a toy from a child. They showed me that I was not as powerful as I believed. That is not humiliation. That is education. The debate raged through every Council world. Some species wanted war, wanted to destroy Earth before it could become an even greater threat. Others wanted to steal the human technology, to dissect their ships and stations until the secrets were revealed. But more and more voices spoke for peace. The humans had shown remarkable restraint. They had returned everyone unharmed. They had healed the sick. They asked for so little just to be left alone. Why not grant it? On Earth, people waited nervously. They went about their lives, but everyone watched the news waiting for word from the Council. Would there be peace, or would the entire galaxy unite against them? Captain Doyen stood on the observation deck of the quiet horizon and looked at the stars. Soman stood beside him, equally quiet. Do you think they will vote for peace? Soman asked. Doyen was silent for a long moment. I think they are afraid. And frightened people can be unpredictable. But I also think they are intelligent. They understand what we showed them. Fighting us gains them nothing. Making peace gains them a powerful ally. Unless they decide we are too dangerous to exist, Soman said quietly. Then we do what we have always done, Doyen replied. We survive, we adapt. We protect our home. Far away in the council chamber, Vren called for the final vote. The chamber was packed again. Every member present, every eye watching the displays. The question before the council, Vren said formally, is whether to grant Earth's requests, sovereignty, an exclusion zone, a council seat, and a non-aggression pact. Each member world will vote. Green for yes, red for no. The vote requires a 2/3 majority to pass. Vren activated the voting system. Around the chamber, lights began to appear. Green and red scattered at first, then more and more. Jiwan stood in the center and watched. Her heart was pounding. Everything humanity had worked for, 3,000 years of patience and preparation, came down to this moment. The voting continued for 10 minutes as every member world registered their choice. Finally, the last light appeared. Vren looked at the results. His face was unreadable. The vote is complete. 417 worlds voted yes. 183 voted no. The motion passes. The chamber erupted in noise. Some cheered. Some shouted in anger. Some simply sat in stunned silence. Jiwan felt her knees go weak. They had done it. Peace, actual peace. Vren raised his arms for silence. It took a long time. The council has spoken. Earth is hereby recognized as a sovereign world with full council membership. The 5 light-year exclusion zone is recognized and will be enforced by council law. Any violation will be treated as an act of war against a council member. He looked directly at Jiwan. Ambassador Park, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I welcome humanity to the stars. Officially this time, Jiwan bowed deeply. When she raised her head, there were tears in her eyes. Thank you, High Counselor. Humanity is honored to join the Council. We look forward to a long and peaceful partnership. The formal ceremonies took hours. Treaties were signed. Boundaries were established. Humanity agreed to share basic gravity manipulation technology for medical purposes. Council scientists were amazed by what they learned. The technology was completely different from anything they knew, based on principles they had never considered. Dr. Sunho led the first technology sharing sessions. He was patient with the confused council scientists, explaining concepts that seemed impossible. Some understood quickly, others struggled, but all were fascinated. We will need years to fully understand this, one scientist said. A small creature with too many eyes. We know, Sunho said kindly. We have been studying it for 3,000 years and still discover new things. Take your time. Learn carefully. We will help you. The first official human embassy opened on the council station 3 months later. It was a beautiful building, designed to blend human and alien architecture. Ambassador Jiwan led the opening ceremony, and representatives from 200 worlds attended. Yun came to the embassy opening. He found Jiwan in the garden looking at earth flowers that had been transported from home. Ambassador Park, he said formally. Commander Hyun, Jiwan replied, bowing. I am glad you came. I wanted to apologize, Hyun said quietly. I was arrogant. I dismissed your warnings. I led my people into danger because I could not imagine that you were telling the truth. Jiwan looked at him. You were following your orders. You were protecting your people. I understand. Still, Hyun continued, I have thought much about what happened. Your people could have killed me. Instead, they healed an old injury in my back that had troubled me for 20 years. Why? Because hurting you would not have protected Earth, Jiwan said simply. Taking your ship protected us. Healing you cost nothing and made you more likely to listen to us later. It was practical, not kind. Hyun laughed, a sound like grinding stones. Perhaps, but I think there was kindness too. Your Dr. Mireille, she talked to me while I was in the medical bay. She told me about Earth, about humanity, about your hopes for the future. She did not have to do that, but she did. And I listened. I am glad, Jiwan said softly. Back on Earth, a small ceremony was held at the edge of the solar system. Captain Doyen and the crew of the Quiet Horizon gathered around a simple monument. It was a stone marker with words in both human languages and council standard. Here humanity first defended its home among the stars. Here we asked to be left in peace. Here we showed that strength without cruelty is possible. May we never forget. Doyen placed his hand on the stone and thought about all the years of hiding, of watching, of waiting. They had been so careful, so patient. And it had worked, Captain, Soman said. I have a question. Yes? What happens now? We are part of the council. The secret is revealed. What does humanity do next? Doyen smiled and looked out at the stars that humans had secretly explored for millennia. Now? Now we see what happens when you invite a quiet species to speak. We have watched the council for 3,000 years. We know their strengths and weaknesses. We know their problems and challenges. Maybe we can help solve them. Or maybe we will create new problems, Soman said. Probably both, Doyen agreed. But at least it will be interesting. High Counselor Vren stood in his private chamber and looked at Earth's file on his display. It was much larger now, filled with information that humans had finally shared. Their history, their technology, their settlements on dozens of worlds that the Council had thought were empty. 3,000 years, he said aloud to the empty room. They watched us for 3,000 years. His assistant, a young creature with purple skin, entered quietly. High Counselor, the human ambassador, has sent an invitation. She wishes to show you something on Earth itself. A personal visit, Vren considered. He had never been to Earth. Few council members had. The planet was still within the exclusion zone and visits required special permission. What does she wish to show me? She did not say. Only that you would find it interesting. Vren thought about Commander Hyun's changed attitude, about the healed crews, about the careful patience humans had shown for 3,000 years. What kind of world produced people like that? Tell her I accept, Vren said. I will visit Earth. 3 days later, Vren's small ship approached Earth. Jiwan met him personally at the orbital station. Together, they took a shuttle down to the surface, landing in a place called Seoul. Vren stepped out and looked at the human city. It was beautiful. All graceful buildings and green parks. Technology blended seamlessly with nature. Humans walked past, some stopping to stare at him with curious but friendly eyes. Children waved. Vren waved back uncertainly. I wanted to show you something, Jiwan said. She led him to a museum in the center of the city. Inside was an exhibition about first contact with the council. There were displays showing the scout ship's arrival, the warning message, the disappeared fleets. But there was also something else. An entire section devoted to council history. Art from alien worlds, music, stories. Artifacts that humans had collected during their 3,000 years of watching.